everyone. I am Maggie Johnson Richardson of Jazz Space, owner and chief creative strategist. And thank you for being here at what is going to be, I think, our first interview work time, talking about things relevant to nonprofit work and things of that nature. So if you love it, if you would push like on that like button or follow us or whichever social platform you have to be on watching this, that would be great. And yeah, without further ado, I'm going to get to our special guest, who is someone that I know pretty well, known for a long time, and I consider him a guru in his field of work. But he also happens to be my brother, George Johnson of George Digital. So being here. So
Yeah. How you doing?
good. So I know from personal, experience, been so gracious and kind to be working with me on my business. You've really taught me a lot about this thing called SEO, or search engine. And I know for you, it's like a whole big thing.
Yeah.
For me, I still feel like I'm still, and I think probably some still, are like, it's this mysterious like thing that we like you keep hearing about. But it would be great to learn more from you about what you do. Is it at all relevant, to the work that we're doing? It'll be great. So
All right. All right.
yeah. So my first is like, get us on the same page. How would you define SEO to someone who really, like, maybe they've heard that, don't know what it is? Like, what's the dummy
Mm.
word, I guess?
How would I define SEO to someone who doesn't know what SEO is? I'm assuming they know the English language, right?
Yes,
That,
yes.
that they know that much. Okay. Um, so today, in today's age, what people do, usually when they're looking for information, any information for the most part, they go to Google, right? There's a term called just Google it, right? Like everyone says, "Oh, just Google it," and it's become very important in our world where you search for something and a result pops up, and you're supposed to at this point you're supposed to be able to trust that result. So with SEO, search engine optimization, what it is you as a website, you are trying to make sure that you are the best reference for whatever said person is looking up. So we optimize your ranking on the SERP, or search engine results page. Um, so what is SEO? SEO is ranking you higher on the SERP for
So
said reasons.
the SERP, again, being the search engine ranking
So search engine results page.
and results.
Yes.
SERP. So you've
Yes.
already got two acronyms we know now.
Yeah,
Just
it's not as bad as the military, but yeah, there's plenty of acronyms to know.
right. Cool. So how did you, just to, keep it focused on you for a second, how did you get started in this? And why do you assuming you do?
Well, I've always been a tech head. I've always been inside of computers somewhere, whether it's been building them or playing around with the software. Um, I went to school for engineering at one point in my life. Was a professional engineer again. Well, sorry, shouldn't say that. I was not a PE. I was an engineer professionally at one point.
Okay.
There's a difference. Anyone who knows would understand. Anyway, I was an engineer professionally before all this, but I was just always tinkering around with stuff and code, and I fell into the technical side of what does it take to get a website ranking? What does it mean? What is Google looking for to rank a site? So it was just a curiosity that sort of built and built and built, and then at some point, various groups I'm in and people I'm talking to, and people are like, "Hey, guess what? You can also do this as a profession. People need you to help them put the code together, put the content together, put the strategy together to rank a site for their what's called money keywords, right? Keywords that they make the most money off of. Um, for instance, if you are a lawyer, you know, you would say something like accident lawyer Chicago, right? Like that is your money keyword. People look that up and hopefully you're the first person that pops up. So yeah, I mean that's how I got into it is because I was just curious. Um, Sadly, that's part of my childhood name.
Yes, yes, everyone. We did call him Curious George growing up. Yeah, it's, and you were. It was definitely true. Well, so it's interesting because as I'm hearing you talk, it occurs to me that you're kind of something you're hitting SEO, like, and I'll even stop saying SEO. Just that process of being, that first person that shows up when someone searches for the is more complicated in the back end
Yeah,
or can be more involved. Maybe I shouldn't say complicated per se. I mean, it is
I,
complicated
I mean,
than what we think or what we realize.
yeah. The more the less complicated things get. But if I was to if I take a step back from myself, I would say complicated. I would say that it is more than just a simple code change. Um, because it's more than just your page, it's also the other pages around you. And when I say that, I mean like your competition, right? So what is your competition doing? Does Google like that more than they like you? Maybe you should be more like them. And it's not always just so cut and dry. So that's why I say it's complicated, but
Yeah.
there are algorithms to understand, but that's what I do. So then you don't have to.
Well, so then let's talk about like the fact that most of the folks that Jazz Space Consulting works with tend to be like leader profit sector,
Hmm.
folks who are, directing or marketing for arts and cultural organizations, or events and activities to promote. So if I'm someone like that who has like a really limited marketing budget and like, trying to figure out the plan, do you think SEO is a good investment compared to other types of marketing? Where, like, or who most benefits?
Okay. Well, comparatively speaking, there's really sort of when you're talking about internet marketing, there's sort of like two major players, right? There's PPC, which is pay per click, and then there's SEO. Pay per click is going to be the fastest way to get a click on your site. But it's also probably, short term, even the most expensive way as well. So if you want to click again, this do the attorney or the lawyer instance, right? So car accident, lawyer Chicago. You want people to click on that, then you buy those clicks. You literally just buy the clicks. Now with SEO, you are trying to be the best option for someone to click. So then they click you. So it does take a little bit more time, but in the long run, when you do get your site up to page one and get your site up to the top of page one, when you get that running, then people know that you're about like it's clear. It's you got there because you are good, right? You didn't get there because you just paid for it. It's almost like, if you're running a race and you paid off the ref. I mean, it's like this, it's not the same thing. People look at you different, you
Right.
know. I mean, just think about how often when you search the internet, you say, "Oh, those are paid ads." Let me scroll down a little bit. Yep, that's the one. That's because I know that is the proper result, not just something that someone paid for.
Ah, so the work that you do helps us get to being like the first organic, I guess, is that
Yes. Yeah,
organic?
organic result versus paid results. Hmm.
And I like what you're saying, like that kind of inherently for most of us has a sense of like a or confidence or credibility. And I think that's especially true. Well, I think it's especially true in like the nonprofit world where credibility is really um but also in nonprofit, when I especially look at nonprofit arts and culture, a lot of times we don't like to think, and just not like to think of ourselves as competitors, because we're all just trying to make a world a better place on some level.
Okay.
However, especially in the niche, we are competing with all of the bigger entertainment and media options out there. So it's a reality that and so what I hear you saying is that this can be one of those things that can help us actually compete in that realm. um
Yes.
Maybe looking for those kind.
Hmm.
Well, I don't want to stay too long on that, because I want to give folks a tease, a taste, because we could, so we get to talk to you, some someone more, because I know there's a lot more. But
It's a lot more.
right. So to that effect, like, how do your clients tend to find you?
Fun story.
Okay,
Through
good.
SEO. No, so it's a little bit of here and there, right? So a lot of times it's, because SEO isn't necessarily always a very search term, right? I mean, SEO, search SEO, right? So, obviously if there's going to be some big players who rank high for that term, but it's clouded with a bunch of, algorithm cheats and things like that.
Mhm.
We won't get into that today. Um, but no, people mostly find me just word of mouth. Hey, George does good work. Look at my site. And the proof is in the pudding. I mean, I do. While I am, working with you, and I'm working with others, but I specialize in HVAC SEO, right? So you can be pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. I know that HVAC companies are not looking up HVAC SEO. They don't.
Mhm.
Um, so I have to reach out to them, and say, hey, you're ranking low. I can help you.
Mhm.
And then they look up it. Then they finally look up HVAC SEO in their city, and I pop up. So that's how that works on my end. It's a little bit roundabout, but um, at the end of the day, I'm still using what I do to show proof that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think it's fun that you and I are both, after all these years, sort of doing a similar thing. This sort of consulting, and it's certainly true in my area too. Like, it's mostly word of mouth.
Hmm.
You see, in just working with you has helped me to see that, like, there is a, like, support element, and there is a credibility element, like basically what you just said. Like, so, like, even when folks are maybe finding me through word of mouth, when they go at my site comes up quickly, or if there's things on my site that make it clear that I know what I'm doing, that
Hmm.
just makes it, because you don't just ultimately want people to work with you.
Right.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. Okay, so go into a little bit, like, what are some of the kind of, as much as you can, keep in mind, like, we're for my audience, we're talking about, folks, you know sector, who are really trying to, like, they're trying to promote their organization and the activities they do. um you know what kind of services, what kind of things would you, like, maybe just off the top of your head, like, start to recommend things that you do that could be helpful?
Definitely since I've been working with you, I've been looking at a lot of your not competitors. Um, but the thing that I've seen across the board is just a well thought out site structure, a well thought out blog post plan, and then within that, the interlinking amongst all those.
Mm,
That is probably, from a strategy standpoint, one of the easiest things to recognize that a site is or isn't doing. It still takes quite a bit of thought to do it, but it's easily recognizable. If you look at any site that you go to, any company, if they have a blog page and they have 4 posts on their blog page, right? And they have 3 services. You're like, well, shouldn't they be talking more about their services? I mean, again, going back to the car accident attorney or car accident lawyer, I mean, you could easily have a post about, why you should wear seatbelts,
Mm,
right? And how that can reduce your liabilities if you're in an accident, right? Like if they're not thinking about what information that they can give to the public will never know to click on them in the first place. So again, we're talking about search engine results page is the best result
mhm,
for the giving search. And people search for all kinds of stuff. You just want to make sure that you find the most related topics to whatever you're promoting,
mhm.
and then, again, there's some secret sauce in there, but that's the I mean, I hope it's general. I mean, I guess it feels general to me. I don't know if it's general to you, but it feels, yeah, that's the general idea.
Yeah, I really like highlighted that there are things that we don't even think about, those of us, on the outside of SEO, like blog post structure and figuring out, working with someone like you and or your team, you can help us figure out like what kind of, even like what kind of topics, the research around, like what are people actually searching for, or what would be relevant, but not in a way that's going to like not be who we are, fits into whatever, every, like if I'm working for a ballet and I'm
Hmm.
trying to promote my ballet company, like research and first look at the website and make sure that we're structuring everything in a way that makes it easily findable and accessible.
Hmm.
Also going to be looking at things like blog post or content. Do you help with social media content, or is that a different thing?
I can help with social media content. It's nothing that I don't outwardly promote that I do. But it's 100% something that can be done. Social media content is more consistent. It's more about consistency.
Okay.
Unlike a blog post where you can do a blog post, once or twice a month, and there's various things around that allow you to rank that blog post in the right way. But with social media, you're talking about posting probably once a week, if not more often than that, just to stay relevant. I mean, it's because, I mean, everyone knows what social media is these days. It's very what's happening today, what's happening this week. If you let that relax for too long, then people stop looking for you.
Yeah. Good
So it's,
point.
I mean, again, I can do it. Um, but usually it's usually a lot of times what I find is the owner's teenage child is the one who's managing the social media because they're just sitting there on the phone all day anyway.
Right. Right. It is. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Hmm. So, what do you wish that more people would know or understand about SEO, or about the type of work you, or you even start to work with them? What are some things that you wish they knew?
Probably the biggest thing is that it does take time. Um, Even your best, well thought out, even your if you want to call it best funded, plans, will still take 3+ months to see any real traction. Um, and especially if you're in a high competition environment, in a high competition area. So like, again, go back to car accident lawyer Chicago. Plenty of accidents happen in Chicago. Chicago's a big city, so and there's a plenty of attorneys there doing it. So you're not the first one to think of the idea of why you should be wearing a seatbelt, in Chicago. So it will take time. Um, it takes time and resources to get that done. That's probably the biggest thing is all too often the flash of it all gets in the way of what the actual work is, the real technical work that takes to do SEO. versus, again, the advertising flash of, I can rank you number one, yesterday. I mean, someone will tell you that, but, they'll tell you anything on the internet.
That's right. Oh, no. So, okay, my next, I think this will pretty much wrap it up for us. Like, I I sort of asked you to think about this ahead of time. I'll admit, are one or two or three best practices or things that we can do in the realm of SEO, or before we start working with someone like you that can possibly, that can get us started on the road on a good foot?
Okay, two or three things. I think I get three things out of this. Um, one thing is going to be stay focused. Um, it sounds general, but let me say it this way. Um, when I say stay focused, I mean when you create a page about a subject, have the things on that page about that subject. Don't go off and say, oh well, I need more words, so then I'm going to start talking about clowns now. No, stay on topic. Um, and I guess a hint again is going to be Google knows what you're talking about, you know. So if you talk about too many things, Google's not going to know what your site, no, they're not going to know what your page is about.
Mhm.
So there's that. Stay on topic. Um, two is going to be don't make it hard on yourself when it comes to web development. There are several nice web builders out there. You have Squarespace, Wix, and I think maybe a couple other ones out there that are very similar, where it's this kind of, point and click, drag and drop. Um, but those are, when it comes to SEO, those are relatively hard to work with because they don't have enough customization. Um, so if you're just starting off, definitely if you're just starting off, if you have the opportunity, spend the time, spend the effort to set yourself up with something like a WordPress site. The site itself, the actual software, if you will, that's free, so that's not going to cost you. Um, to get a site built actually doesn't, even if you were to hire out, then it still doesn't cost that much to get it all laid out properly. But the rationale again is going to be when an SEO does come in, they will have all the tools they need to get it done. They won't need to do any hyper custom code, but then they also won't have to be fighting against the content management system that you bought into anyway.
Mhm.
And then number three is just hire an SEO. Seriously, there's a lot. I mean, I know I'm self-serving when I say that,
Yeah.
but if I'm being completely honest, I mean, maybe you can attest to this, but the idea is it's cheaper to hire out someone to do something than do it yourself. Anyone who's tried to replace their own roof, is like, well, would you hire that out or would you do it yourself? Yeah, it's cheaper to do it yourself, sure, but will you get it done before the next rain? Will you do it well enough when it does rain that it won't leak? Hire the professional. They know what they're doing. Um, and ultimately, no, it doesn't cost more because they know what they're doing. And when it's done right.
Yeah. I really like what you said. I mean, even when you said earlier about, it's a little bit more of a long game than the short game. It's not same as putting an ad, on Facebook or in the paper for your next performance and you're going to sell. Like it's a game of building
Hmm.
yourself up in the digital marketing realm. But like even most of the folks I work with, even like a 3 month or a 6 month kind of thing, and to feel like you will have made progress, not forever. It's not that
Hmm.
long. I think in the nonprofit world, for better or for worse, we're kind of used to things going, working slowly. But at the same time, I think we can be as bad as other people at wanting certain things to happen right now. So that's really good advice.
Mhm.
I absolutely elevate and attest to what you're saying about hiring a professional. We talk about that a lot with our clients about don't stress yourself out trying to do because you feel like you don't have enough money. Do the thing well, because in the long term,
Right.
it's going to produce support and funds. I think in the nonprofit, in the nonprofit realm, we're especially wanting to put our best face out there, our best work out there, so that we're getting support, so that people who would fund us or donate to us, eh, that that. So I think, yeah, I think I really love what you're saying. So
Good.
thank you, George. Thank and thank you for being my personal SEO guru. I really
Yeah, well, you're welcome. Well,
appreciate it.
if anyone's going to get a personal guru, it should be you.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's certain family benefits. However, I do feel like, you really, yeah, you really gave us a quick opening. So let me give you a moment to just say, to kind of plug your company, and how can folks get in touch with you if they want to dive a little deeper with, maybe even work with you as a client.
All right. Well, I'm George Johnson. I run georgedigital.net. If you go to .com, it'll get there either way. But I run georgedigital.net. When you go there, you'll see that I primarily deal with HVAC SEO. I'm here in the desert, so I like to stay cool. But that said, I can work on, pretty much any business. They all have their small nuances here and there, but because I'm a professional, I can work with any organization. As Maggie can attest, I'm working with a nonprofit consulting organization, even though I specialize in HVAC SEO. My email is georgej@georgedigital.net. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Do my best to answer them. If it gets deep enough, then we can work together.
Cool. George, and thanks everyone who has ended up watching this. Please leave a comment if you can, to let us know what you thought, and we might be able to answer a couple questions. If you put some questions in any comments, that would be great too. So again, thanks everybody, and thank you, George, and we'll see you.
All right. Yep. Like, comment, and share.
Oh yeah, thank you, George. See?